Baruch Avoim B'Shem Hashem, B'Shem Irgun Shir Torah, Mrs. Boston. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's shir from Rabbi Aharon Pessin Shlita. On behalf of Irgun Shir Torah, we'd like to dedicate tonight's shir as a schus for an old friend and supporter of Irgun Shir Torah, Rabbi Moshe Katlowitz, Zechron Levracha. The Nishmas Rabbi Moshe Yosef ben Rav Kalman, Zechron Levracha. To Nishmos Tzrura B'Tzara Chaim, supporter of Irgun Shir Torah for many years. To have the great schus of sponsoring a shir or to put an ad in the dinner journal in honor of the upcoming dinner of Irgun Shir Torah next Wednesday, August 24th, to honor any of the Rabbanim of shiurim you've enjoyed, or for any other dedication, call Irgun Shir Torah at 718-851-8651 or email ist@yeshivinet.com. Tonight we have the cover to have with us once again, Rabbi Aharon Pessin Shlita, noted speaker and author and Rav in Ramat Beit Shemesh, on the topic of how do we find inner Simcha. It's my cover to call on Rav Pessin for tonight's drasha.
It's a tremendous schus. It's a pleasure to be here once again. I want to thank the organizers, the facilitators of this chashuv endeavors of Arbatzas Torah. Mitzvah Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu should give you koyiten Hashem v'cho Yosef. Continue to be able to be Osek in avodas hakodesh. So the topic selected for tonight is how do we find our inner Simcha? So if you don't mind, I'm going to be speaking to myself. If you want to listen to a private conversation, go ahead. An Adam Gadol once said, Atzvus, sadness, is not an aveira per se, but it can lead to all the aveiros. Simcha is not a mitzvah per se, but it can lead to all the mitzvahs. When a person is sad, he is normally bitter, he is frustrated, and that means zero motivation. He doesn't feel like getting up and doing things. But when a person is happy, he just wants to do, he is active, he is propelled to action, and that can lead him to do all the mitzvahs. So how long does one need to be happy? The word Simcha in itself indicates it, because Simcha has a gematria, has a numerical value of 353. That means the entire day you have to be b'simcha. But you'll say, yeah, there's 354 days. Yeah, but there's one day you can't be b'simcha. And that is a week and a half ago, Tisha B'Av, because the pasuk says, Pikudei Hashem Yesharim, Misamchei Leiv, the Torah gladdens our heart, and since in Tisha B'Av you can't learn Torah, so obviously you can't be b'simcha. So I once said that somewhere, and somebody asked me, but wait a second, what do you do with the leap year? Your gematria doesn't work. It's 384. I said to him, what are you talking about? Yeah, no senes. Adarabah, they're giving you another 30 days to learn Torah. How are you not going to be b'simcha? So year round. Abba Yisai, let's go back in the time tunnel all the way back to Parshas Vayera. Avraham Avinu, an amazing test, a test of the Akedah. What was the Nisan? Are we allowed to be provocative in Irgun Shir Torah? We're allowed to ask a provocative shayla? Abba Yisai, what's the big deal? Akedas Yitzchok, it seems like it's the pinnacle, the top of the line, the 10th test, the hardest test of all. Seemingly, it's not hard at all. Avraham Avinu is the biggest believer in Klal Yisrael in the world entire. He taught the whole world. There is such a thing called Ribono Shel Olam. So if Ribono Shel Olam wants your son, he can't take him. What are you going to do? You're going to hide him in the basement? You're going to put him in the attic? You can run, but you can't hide. What are you going to do with Yitzchak? If a Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Kachna es binchos yechidecha, and you're going to say, no, I'm not in this game. So Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to be powerless, chas v'sholem. He knows his passport number. He even knows his shoe size. So what's the test? Avraham Avinu is the biggest maimin. What, he doesn't believe that he just spoke to Ribono Shel Olam and he asked him to shecht his son? Avada is going to do it. He taught the whole world you have to do what Hashem says. So what's the test? It sounds like a provocative shayla. Everybody asks this. The Malbim, the Hamikdavar, The Shem Shmuel, Pilei Ploim, what an answer. Pilei Ploim, what Hashem Shmuel says. The Shem Shmuel, the son of the Avnei Nezer. He says, the Nisayon wasn't if Avraham is going to do it or not. Avad is going to do it. It's Avraham Avinu. The test was, Avraham Avinu, I know you're going to do it. But how will you do it? With what emotions will you display? Will you have a big smile from ear to ear, or will you go around shechting him with a Tisha B'Av face? All about Simcha. Did Avraham Avinu pass the test? What do you say, Rabbi Isai? Did he pass the test? I'm sorry? Vayelchu shneim yachdav. Rashi on the pasuk says, besimcha. This one goes to shecht, this one goes to be shechted, besimcha. But who told you? Rashi brings it from the Medrash. Who says the Medrash is right? Who says besimcha? The word yachdav normally denotes simcha? No. So who says Avraham Avinu passed the test? Says the Shebi Shmuel. Avraham Avinu took the knife. He picks it up. He's about to slaughter Yitzchak. And suddenly, a baskol comes out from Shemaim. A heavenly voice emanates and says, Al tishlach yadcha lanar. V'al ta'as lo me'uma. Don't do it, don't do it. Wait a second. How can Avraham Avinu hear that voice? You have a Gemara. Shabbos daf lamed amud beis. Chazal say, אין השכינה שוירה, לא מתוך עצבוס ולא מתוך קלוס ולא משחוק, אלא מתוך שמחה של מצווה. Shechina can't reside on a person. You can't have communication with above unless you're besimcha. So it must be that Avraham Avinu passed the test, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to hear the baskol from Shemaim. You know what it means? Just imagine. Avraham Avinu is going to do the test. He's going to do it no matter what. The Kadosh Baruch Hu says, but it's kind of hard. So he's not going to be sad. But he's not going to be besimcha. If you're not besimcha, you don't hear the baskol from Shamayim. And if you don't hear the baskol from Shamayim, that comes out and says, Al tishlach yadcha elanach, but you didn't hear it. Guess what you're doing? You're taking the ma'acheles, you're taking the knife, and you shecht Yitzchak. Know what that means? Why are we all here today? Because thousands of years ago, our collective grandfather did one mitzvah besimcha. Because if he wouldn't be besimcha, he would check Yitzchak. If there was be Yitzchak, there wouldn't be any Yaakov. If there's no Yaakov, there's no 12 Shivtei Ka. And if there's no 12 Shivtei Ka, there isn't any of us tonight sitting here. So why are we here? Because grandfather Avraham Avinu did one mitzvah, besimcha. That's what the Avnei Nezer says, the Shem Shmuel, and that is just remarkable. In Brachos Daf Tes Amud Beis, Rabbi Aharon said to Ula, when you're going up there, you're going to meet my brother, Rabboina. He's an Adam Godoil. V'sameach b'mitzvahs. Send him my best regards. What does it mean? He's an Adam Godoil. V'sameach b'mitzvahs. So he explained, Rabbi Aharon. Once, he was able to be soymech geula l'tfila. And he didn't stop smiling the entire day. You know what that means? Just imagine. You're walking in the street, you meet a friend. And he's just glowing, he's radiant, he's so happy. So you said to him, you get a mazel tov? A chasna, your son's chasna tonight? No. Bar mitzvah? No. Your grandson's bris, or pidyon haben? No. Why are you so smiling? Why are you so happy? Baruch Hashem, today, after Shachis, I said my two chapters of Tehillim. It went well, Baruch Hashem, gewaldig. You would think the guy's nuts. That smile is more appropriate for winning the lottery. But that's how we should feel when the two Pirkei Tehillim that you said in the morning went well. He was soymech once, geula l'tfila, and he didn't stop smiling the entire day. That provided him such simcha. So Rabbi Aharon calls him, he's an Adam Godoil. V'sameach b'mitzvahs. Do mitzvahs bring us simcha? Riddle. 2-point question. You know what? 3 points. Who was the happiest Yid in Klal Yisrael? The happiest Yid ever. What do you say, Rabbi Isai? Nachum ish gamzu. Meichi teisi. And who told you this secret? Did you meet him? Nachum ish gamzu accepted everything letoiva. Who told you he was the happiest? I need a source. David HaMelech was happy. Who told you? Samachti be'omrini beis Hashem neilech. But who says samachti all the time? I need a source. Ebzisha. I'm looking back a little before him. Medrash Rabbah in Shir HaShirim Perek Aleph Ois Vav. Moshe Rabbeinu and Yeshaya, there was no one happier than them. That's what the Medrash says. It's a pele. Moshe Rabbeinu. Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Yud Amud Aleph Chazal say, Klal Yisrael suspected Moshe Rabbeinu of being with their wives. Kol echad meklal Yisrael. Each one Klal Yisrael. That's what Chazal say. Klal Yisrael, Nishmo Yisraba, Parasha Nun Aleph, Ois Vav, suspected Klal Yisrael, suspected Moshe Rabbeinu that he stole the money that they donated to building the Mishkan. The language of the Medrash is that they would walk behind Moshe Rabbeinu and they would say, why is his neck so big and wide? What do you mean, why? Because every night he goes to a different restaurant eating on our account. He's using our money. What is there to be so happy about when that's what they suspect of you? And if that's not enough, in Yalkut Shimoni and Bamidbar, Remez Tafshin Samech Dalet, Chazal say, when Aaron HaKohen went to depart up there in the mountain, Moshe Rabbeinu came back alone. And Klal Yisrael looked at him and said, excuse me? You went together with someone, where's your brother? Melamed, Chazal say, that Klal Yisrael told him, you are cruel. Maybe you were jealous of Aaron and you killed him. Not to be believed. And Moshe Rabbeinu is the happiest of all men. What do you have to be so happy about? Yeshaya Hanavi, he was murdered by his own grandson, King Menashe, while he was hiding in a cedar tree. So there's really something to be happy about, huh? But Moshe Rabbeinu and Yeshaya know that just traveling here in Olam Hazeh, this journey that whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us, is a tremendous opportunity for Kirvas Hashem. And when you have an opportunity for Kirvas Hashem, you have to be elated. And therefore, it's not a wonder that Yeshaya Hanavi in Perek Nun Hei Pasuk Yud Beis says, Ki v'simcha tetzeu, uv'sholom tuvalun. Ki b'simcha tetzeu, through simcha. Some say you'll be able to tzeu, you'll be able to leave, to get out, to get rid of all your problems, all your tzaros. Simcha is the key. Rabbeinu Bechaye and Kada Kemach, Erech Simcha writes, Hatzadikim, Zrizin la'asos avoidosam besimcha. Zrizin magdimin lemitzvahs, we thought is Zrizin. You have to be studious, you have to be fast to do mitzvahs, but there's something else built into that, another element of Zrizin. And that is Simcha. You have to be doing the mitzvahs bezrizus, but with a big smile on your face. And then you get a nice title. A tzaddik. The Gaon Mevilna in his Perush on Mishlei says, the advantage of man over animals is with his chokhmah and schok. His laughter and wisdom. I think it's implied from what the Gaon Mevilna says that if one doesn't use his chokhmah and laughter, he resembles more an animal than a human being. Yes, he may have 2 legs and 2 ears. He looks like one of us. But if the advantage of us over animals is chokhmah and tzok and one doesn't use it, so what's the difference between him and the animals? There was an old man in Bnei Brak. His name was Reb Shlomo Reichenberg, Zichrono Livracha. And he told a remarkable story. When he was 16 years old, he entered hell, that we call the Holocaust. There were 3,000 guys in the camp. They used to sleep, 10 guys on a wooden plank. Life was hell. So one day, he's 16 years old, Shlomo Reichenberg, and this guy grabs him in the middle of the camp and starts beating him up, breaking him to pieces. And he's bleeding, and he looks at this guy and says, "What do you want from me?" He doesn't even know the guy. "What did I do to you?" He says, "What did you do to me? What did you do to me?" And he keeps beating him up. He says, "Stop! What did I do to you? Why are you doing this?" He says, "You're going to find out why. Come with me to barracks number 10. In barracks number 10, there was an older guy in the camp. He was served as the arbitrator of the camp. If two Yidens had a machloikis, had a fight, they would go to him. He was like a judge of the camp. So they go in front of him. And this judge says to Shlomo Reichenberg, "What's going on?" He says, "Look at me. Look what he did to me. I don't know this guy and I don't know why he did it. I didn't do anything to him." So the judge asks the guy who did it, "Why'd you hit this young man, 16-year-old Shlomo?" He says, "What do you mean, why?" "Because I saw Shlomo smiling twice today." And the judge looks at him and says, "So you're not allowed to smile here anymore?" He says, "What do you mean? We are starving to death. When one is starving, he doesn't have koyach to smile. So if Shlomo is smiling, that means he's not starving to death." But how can that be? The Nazis, Yemach Shemam, didn't give you 1 ounce, one crumb extra. So how is it that he is not starving? Obviously, he's cooperating with the Nazis. And therefore, they're giving him more food. He is satiated in Mele, he has koyach to smile. And if one is cooperating with the Nazis, avada, I have to beat him up. So the judge says to Shlomo, "He has a good time on you." So Shlomo says to him, "Listen, I'll tell you the truth. A few months ago, I was able, together with a bunch of guys, to smuggle into the camp a pair of tefillin. And since that day, not even one day passed by that Baruch Hashem I missed tefillin. Every single day I put my pair of tefillin. And every so often, when I'm walking in the middle of the day, I think about it. It gives me such simcha. It gives me such simcha that I put my pair of tefillin and I show to myself my loyalty, my dedication, my commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it gives me such simcha that I'm able to beat the Satan in his own house. So chas v'sholom, no, I don't try to cooperate with the Nazis. I try to cooperate with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and it gives me simcha, and therefore I smile." What do we smile from? It is famous what the God Mivilna said. We have a lot of mitzvahs. What's the hardest mitzvah? Hardest mitzvah of them all? To be happy. Straight 8 days during Sukkot. Not so pashut. You know what it means to be happy? Not when you're sitting in the sukkah and it's beautiful weather and the food is delicious. It's even when the shvigir is driving you nuts, when the food didn't come out so well and the kids don't listen. 8 days straight, not to wipe off that smile. If we're talking about Simcha, there's another mitzvah of Simcha. Parashas Kiseitze, one has to gladden his wife's heart. How long do you have to make your wife happy? Let's read a pasuk together. Yikach ish isha chadasha. One marries a wife, lo yeitze batzava, v'lo ya'avor alav lechol davar. Naki yelebeiso shana echas v'simach es ishtoi asher lo kach. He doesn't go to the army. He doesn't leave the house. He stays with his wife and he makes her happy 1 year. Aboisa, you heard the pasuk in Hebrew and in English. How long does one need to make his wife happy? 1 year. You sure? And after 355 days, what are you supposed to do? Let's read the pasuk again. Try to look at it with the eyes of Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Ki yikach ish isha chadasha, lo yeitze batzava, velo ya'avor elav lechol davar. Naki yeh lebeiso shana echas, v'simach es ishtoi asher lo kach. Says Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, we don't know how to read a pasuk. Look what the pasuk says. There's all kinds of directives here. Ki yikach ish isha chadasha, if one marries a new wife. Lo yeitze batzava, don't go to the army. Velo ya'avor alav lechol davar. Naki hi leveiso shana echas. Stay home. How long? Shana echas, period. Now comes another directive. V'simach es ishto asher lokach. No expiration date. If they wanted us to only gladden her for 1 year, this should have been at the beginning of the pasuk, in the middle of the pasuk. Lo yeitze batzava, velo ya'avor alav lechol davar, naki yeh lebeiso, v'simach es ishto, and all this, shana echas. But the Torah didn't say that. The Torah said the first 3 are termed for 1 year. Thereafter, a new directive. It's called v'simach es ishto asher lakach. Apparently, you got to do that as long as you are alive, married to that wife. It's pilei ploim of an observation. So how do you achieve that simcha? 4 days ago in Parshas Vayischanan, we read the Seres HaDibros. A Yid once met a Goy. And the Goy says to him, look, I heard that you guys are the originators of this whole business called religion. Maybe you can share something with me. I'm not too good with that. He says, yeah. You know, we have the 10 Commandments. And the Goy says, oh, yeah, I heard about that, but I don't know what it means. Can you share with me what it means? He says, sure. Do you know, we have Lo Sirtzach. What do you mean? He says, our commandment says, don't murder. So the Goy looks at him and says, what do you mean? They had to tell you, don't murder in order for you to stop murdering? That's not impressive at all. Anything else? He says, yeah. We have Lo Signov. Don't steal. So what do you mean? So until they told you, you used to go around taking other people's belongings, that's what it meant? Not impressed at all? Do you have another one before I leave? So sure. We have Lo Sinaf. Don't commit adultery. He says, what type of people are you? They had to tell you to stop? And the Goy starts walking away. The Yid grabs his arm and says, listen, buddy, you understood nothing. You think you understood? You think they have to tell us, Lo Sirtzach, not to murder? Chas v'sholom. You know what Lo Sirtzach to us means? במציע נ"ח עמוד בייס, כל עמל מפני חברו ברבים כאילו שויפך דמים. You embarrass someone publicly? It's as if you spill blood. Rabbi Akiva taught, Nedorim Lametes, if you don't go to visit the sick, it's like you spilling blood. By us, that's quite clear. Soita daf lamed hey, if you don't escort your guest, that's as if you killed him. You know what Lo Signov to us means? במציע מם ג' עמוד בייס, שויל שלא מידס, הווה גזלן. You borrow something from your friend, but without his knowledge, without his permission, only for 2 minutes. I didn't break it. Didn't damage it at all. You put it right back where you took it from. Harei ze gazlan. To us, that's called stealing. You know what Lo Sinaf is? Don't commit adultery. Sanhedrin Pei Aleph Amud Aleph, small town. You have a grocery store. Somebody comes and opens up another store right next to you. The Gemara darshins a pasuk from Yechezkel, asher timei es eshes re'ehu. He defiled his friend's wife. That by us, committing adultery. And so it is with all other commandments. Lo ta'aseh lechafes al kol temuna. Don't make for yourself a statue and start bowing down. Says the Yid to the Go, you think anyone is in his right mind will fashion a statue 5 minutes ago and will start bowing down to it now when it can break in 2 minutes? Who would do that? You know what it means to us? Lo ta'aseh lecha. Don't make yourself a pesel. Stay away from becoming arrogant. Honor, respect your parents. They have to tell us to honor our parents. The only reason we're here is because of them. You know what it means to us? The Zohar HaKodesh in Bereshis Daf Chav Vav Amud Aleph sometimes calls the Shechina Kedosha Abba, and sometimes calls the Shechina Kedosha Ima. It has to do with the midos of Rachamim and Chesed, or midah of strict judgment. Know that Chesed and Din, Kruchim Yardu Min Hashamayim. Strict judgment and Rachamim and Chesed both came together from the same place. Chas v'sholom, there's no 2 entities up there, there's only one. And that is why when you read the Pasha and you get ready We have a mitzvah to get ready every week. Every week it works well. But twice a year, Parshas Yisro and Parshas Vayeschanan completely throws you off. You come to shul, you think you know it cold, and the Baal Koyr is reading it in a totally different way. Because we read it betam tachtoin, with the tam, the sign under the words, telling us how to sing it. But betzibur, in most shuls, they read it betam elyon, with the tam, with the sign above the words, and it's totally different. The tune is different, and you connect and separate different words. Why is that? Because when you read the 10 Commandments as an individual, you got to take it at face value. Pshat! Lo yisirtzach, lo yisignov, lo yisinaf. But when HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls Banav Chaviva, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls his beloved children, he says, come to my house. Chazal say the Beis HaKnesses is Bini Beis HaMikdash. And when HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls us and he says, I want to talk to you as a nation, he talks to us betam elyon. Tam is not just a sign that allows us to sing the words of the Torah. Tam is also a flavor, a reason. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to his children in a different sphere. So the Goy can only understand the Pshat, but we understand we are unique. Reb Samson Efar Hirsch says, you know what the definition of the word Kadosh is? Separated and elevated. And when a Goy looks at us, he's supposed to say, wow, these people are special. Yes, they look like me, but they're separated and they're elevated. And we have to feel that we are special, that we are unique. You know what it means that we are unique? A young man once came to Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and said, can I ask a chutzpahdik question? Reb Shlomo Zalman says, yes. So he tells him, I saw in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Bey, Seif Dalet, there's a halacha. When you put your shoes on, you have to put the right shoe on first, then the left. You tie your left shoe, then you tie the right. Says this young man to Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, tell me, does the Kadosh Baruch Hu really care how I put my shoes on? He has economies to run. He has wars to conduct. He has 10 billion people to sustain. He cares about how Moshe Kohen puts his shoes on. What's up with that? What's pshat? I told you it's going to be chutzpahdik, he says to him. Before we answer the brilliant answer of Reb Shlomo Zalman, the same question was asked to Reb Steinman Zatzal. And Reb Steinman said, where does this stem from? Where does this halacha come from? It's a Gemara in Shabbos Daf Samech Aleph Amud Aleph. And Chazal bring two opinions how you should put your shoes on. Right foot first, maybe the left. The Gemara says, Yerei Shamayim Yotzei Yedei Shnehem. Yerei Shamayim will do both. And that's why we have this compromise, this combination. Right shoe on first, then the left, you tie the right. Ask Reb Steinman, what's the connection to Yerei Shamayim? If I put my right shoe on, then the left, I tie the left and the right, so I'm God-fearing individual, Yerei Shamayim. What did I do? What's the connection? And Reb Steinman explained. Every single day, we make multiple choices. From the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep. How should we get dressed? What should we get dressed with? What should we eat? How should we eat? What should we look at? What should we not look at? What should we listen to? What should we not listen to? What should we say? What should we not say? And it goes on and on and on and on. And a Yid has to stop every single second. Well, wait a second. What does Shulchan Aruch say here? What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want from me here? And when you have to constantly think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu all day long, that's Yiras Shamayim. You're bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the picture. It's Yiras Shamayim. So does it make a difference how you're going to tie your shoe? Maybe not. But it makes a difference to you. Because you have to bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the picture throughout the day, no matter what you do. Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach answered. He looked at that young man and he said to him, tell me, what's the difference between you and a goy? You get up in the morning. Do you wash your face? Do you brush your teeth? I said, yeah. Eat breakfast? Says, yeah. Shlomo Zalman says, the goy does the same. You get dressed? Yep. The goy does the same. You go to work? Yep. The goy does the same. He comes back from work. He eats, you eat. You go to sleep, he goes to sleep. So what's the difference? Said Reb Shlomo Zalman, you know why the goy washes his face? You know why he brushes his teeth? Because he's afraid he's going to go to work and everybody's going to run away if he doesn't. You know why he gets dressed? Because he's going to be embarrassed to leave the house otherwise. Because he wants to look chashuv. Why does he eat? What do you mean why? Because he is hungry. Why does he go to sleep? Because he's tired. Why do we brush our teeth in the morning? Yes, it'll be nice to take care of the people around me. But you're about to use your mouth to praise Ribbono Shel Olam, to pray to him. You can't come with a dirty vessel. Why do we eat? You're allowed to be hungry. But we eat in order to have koyach to serve Ribbono Shel Olam. Why do we get dressed? Because you're a prince. You're a son of a king and you need to represent the king in the most honorable way. Why do you go to sleep? Yes, you're allowed to be tired. But when you go to sleep, because you want to have koyach tomorrow to serve Ribbono Shel Olam, the Rambam says in Ilchos Deos that eating and that sleeping is called Torah. It's part of your learning Torah. Says Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, after we finish a perek in Pirkei Avos, what do we say? Ratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakos es Yisrael. Lefichach, therefore, Hirbalayim Torah mitzvahs. He increased so many Torah mitzvahs. You know why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu loves us. So he says, listen, anyways, you're going to put your shoes on in the morning. Chapa mitzvah along the way. Anyways, you're going to eat. Say a bracha before and after. 2 mitzvahs right there. You're going to sleep? Say a bracha, amabil. Don't be like the goy. Ratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakos. So he threw us so many diamonds along the way throughout the day. So whenever you do something, you have another opportunity to chapa mitzvah. You're saying sometimes the mitzvahs are hard. But if a mitzvah is a diamond, so the harder it is, the bigger the diamond is, the more valuable it is. Gewaldig! So bend down and pick it up with 2 hands. So you're asking me, does it make a difference to HaKadosh Baruch Hu how I put my shoes on? I don't know, but it makes a difference to you. You're becoming a millionaire. Another mitzvah, another mitzvah, another mitzvah throughout the day. I davened with my Rebbe, Maran Saratoy Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal. Can't tell you how many times. Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv. Used to daven before that with Rebbe Yoshev Zatzal. Almost every morning. And it's so inspiring to daven with an Adam Gadol. The language of the Poskim is Kemone Maus, like counting money. Every single word counts. Reb Chaim always with his finger, watching the siddur, word for word, not only in his private Shmoneh Esrei, also in the Chazan's repetition. So it's very, very inspiring. So there was a Yid, 350 years ago, that wanted to have that same experience. And he went to daven Shachis with Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz. The Casey Uplesi, Uri Metumim. So he comes to his town, and he stands right behind Rabbi Yonasan Shachis morning. And Rabbi Yonasan says, Birkos HaShachar. Baruch Ato Hashem, Baruch Ato Hashem, Baruch Ato Hashem. It's gewaldig. Such kavana, such beauty. But this guy noticed that Rabbi Yonasan skipped over one bracha. Baruch Ato Hashem, Shelo Asani Goy. He didn't say. It's a pele in his eyes. He said, I probably just missed it. I'll come back tomorrow. He comes back the following morning, and he stands right behind him, and Rabbi Yonasan says again the same brachos with such beautiful kavana, but he doesn't say Shelo Asani Goy. So he goes over to the guys in the shul and says, do you know that the Rebbe here doesn't say Shelo Asani Goy? What are you talking about? Can't be. So he says to them, come tomorrow morning. The following morning, 6 guys stand behind Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz, trying to listen, and Taka, he doesn't say it. He says all the other brachos beautifully. He doesn't say Shelo Asani Goy. But Rabbi Yonasan is Gadol Ador. What do you do with it? So they went to the local Beis Din. And they said to the Beis Din, it seems that Rabbi Yonasan doesn't say this bracha. Rabbi Yonasan is greater than the Beis Din. So the Beis Din couldn't call him over. They went to him. And they told him, Yelamdeinu Rabbeinu. You don't say Shelo Asani Goy in the shul every morning? And Rabbi Yonasan smiles and says, no. So they ask him, how come? He says, I'll tell you, it's very pashut. I get up in the morning. I open my eyes. I say, whoa! There are 9 billion people on this planet. And for whatever reason, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose me to be part of his elite team, the select group called Klal Yisrael, there's no one luckier than me. I say my Moediani, I wash my hands, and then I think to myself, well, not only did he select me, he also gave me a chelek in his Torah, and he expects me to learn this divine letter, and I get eternal reward for it. I just won the lottery. And I get up in my room and I start dancing and I say, Baruch Ata Hashem shelo yasani goy. So to answer your question, when I come back to shul, I can't say it again, I already said it in the morning, it will be a Baruch Levatana. That is supposed to give us simcha. Shelo yasani goy. The Mashgiach Reb Gedalia Eisman once came in the morning to the yeshiva before Shachris and he asked the boys, last night was the elections in the United States. Who was elected for office? And they look at him and say, you? You are into politics? You are into news? And before Shachris? They couldn't believe it, but they answered him. After Shachris, he said, Yelamdeinu Rabbeinu. What's Pshat? You never care about the news. But now before Shachris, you need to know. And he says to him, sure. I was about to say, the Bracha Shelo Yasani Goy. What do you think? I have a kavana for a homeless guy in the subway in New York? Everybody is happier not to be him. I say Shelo Asani Goy, even the President of the United States, the most honorable person, the most powerful person in the entire world, and Baruch Hashem, I am not him. I am a Yid and I have a chelek in Torah. I wanted to have the more kavana, most kavana that I can in saying this bracha. You know what it means to have simcha doing mitzvahs? Rabbi Aharon Pessin, the mashgiach, was once in the shul, and a young man comes in, Avrech. So he's about to put his tefillin on. Rabbi Aharon Pessin goes over to him and he says to him, can I offer you something? He says, what do you mean? I'll give you $50, don't put on your tefillin today. Just today. Come back tomorrow and put him on. He says, Rebbe, what do you mean? Rebbe, this must be a joke, right? No, I'm serious. Chas v'sholom. So he says to him, I'm going to give you $100, cash. Just don't put your tefillin on today. He says, Chas v'sholom, what are you saying? He says to him, oh, it's not enough. I say, fine. You need the money. I'm going to give you $1,000 cash. Don't put on tefillin today. But tomorrow you can come back. Put your tefillin on. How's that deal? He says to him, Chas v'sholom, Rebbe, what are you saying? Why are you doing this? He says to him, I'm going to offer you $50,000. Cash, I have here, cash. Don't put your tefillin on today. Only one day. You willing to do this? He says, Chas v'sholom. So he tells him, I'm going to give you $1 million. Tavin utkilin. $1 million. Cash. Just for one day, don't put your tefillin on. He says, Chas v'sholom. Even if you give me $20 million, I'm going to put my tefillin on. What are you saying? And the mashgiach looks at him and says to him, did you hear what you just said now? You just said that the mitzvah of tefillin is worth to you at least. It's got to be more than $20 million, because for $20 million, you're not willing to separate from your tefillin. So it must be worth more than $20 million. So tell me, how is it possible that you come in here this morning and I saw you yesterday and 2 days ago and you're not smiling? How is it possible? If you want today $20 million in the lottery, you think I would be able to erase the smile off your face? How about it not? The entire day? But you're saying you just won now more than $20 million because that tefillin is worth more. So how come you have a Tisha B'Av face? That tefillin is supposed to make us elated, but not just that tefillin. Any of the mitzvahs. There's a Medrash Tanchuma. In Parashas Truma Siman Daled, the Medrash says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himlich es Nebuchadnezzar al kol ha'olam kuloi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Nebuchadnezzar a king over the entire world, and Nebuchadnezzar was not happy. He would be embarrassed whenever he talked to people because he was short and fat. And that's what the Medrash says. That's why he's called Nebuchadnezzar. He was kaved, he was heavy, and he was small. You know how small he was? In Yalkut Shimoni and Daniel, Remez Taf Taf Reish Samech Beis, Chazal say he was 1 tefach tall. So he was kind of short. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made him a king over the entire world. So what are you missing? What else do you need to have simcha? A few more inches and a few less inches in the belly area, and that's what's going to make you happy? You see, a person can have everything in this world, but if his focus is wrong on what I don't have, he is not going to be besimcha. Why can't we be happy with what we have? Focus on what you do have, and Baruch Hashem, we have so much. So Moiradik Chesed LeAvraham. Chesed LeAvraham is the grandfather of the Chidah. The great Mekubal of his time, about 400 years ago, he brings from Kisvei HaArizal. And Chesed LeAvraham Ma'ayan Daled Nahar Yud Aleph, he writes a remarkable thing. Before a person is born, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the angel, take this drop, take tipazu, and take it to the storage house where I keep all the bodies. And the angel shows each person all the different bodies on the shelf. And he asks him, what would you like? Choose whatever you want. And a person chooses his own body. Says the Chesed LeAvraham, you see from here, no one should chalila get any tinus, any complaints on Ribono Shel Olam. Why am I not this? Why am I to this? And the Chesed LeAvraham continues and says that the angel says to the person after he selects his body, some selects beautiful bodies, tall, handsome, and the angel says, this is what you chose for this world, and the next you're going to be the opposite. And if one chooses a not so elegant body, the angel says to him, but in the next you will have the most amazing chen, nesiyas chen, and body. Whatever that means, because obviously it's spiritual. And therefore the Chesed LeAvraham says, how can you ever complain? You chose your own body. And if you don't feel happy with it in this world, that means you're going to be very happy with it in the next. So Chalila, to be like Nebuchadnezzar, Chalila to be like Haman, that the whole world bows down to him. But there's one guy, really old, long white beard, Ayid, and he doesn't bow. So the whole thing is not worth it. Shige. Rabbi Yankele Galinsky, Zecher Tzadik Livroche. It's a big Magid in Bnei Brak. He just passed away 5 or 6 years ago. Rabbi Yankele Galinsky once came home and he gave his kids a letter. He folded it up and he said, don't look at it, but please make sure. When I die, make sure that I'm buried holding this letter. And they said, Tati, what's pshat? What does that mean? Can we look at the letter? And he says, absolutely not. Don't look at it. But make sure I'm buried with it. And it became a thing in their house for years. Every so often they would say, can we look at that letter? And he said, no. But don't forget, bury me with that letter. For years. And one day he came back from Shachis and he says to his children, remember that letter that I once gave you to bury? Yeah, sure. You don't need to bury me with holding this letter anymore. So, really? What happened? No, don't worry about it. So can we look at it now? So yeah, if you want to. They don't understand what's going on. They take the letter, they open it up. It was a letter from the Chazon Ish to Rabbi Yankele Galinsky. And he addresses it to my dear friend, Arav Agoen Yankev Galinsky. And he writes him a letter. So they read the letter and they said, Tati, we don't understand. What's pshat? What's the connection? Why did you want us to bury you with this letter, where seemingly this letter has nothing to do with your burial, and why now suddenly you decided you don't care about it anymore? He says, I'll tell you. I always thought when I go upstairs after 120, I may have some serious problems. So I figured if I have any issues up there, in Beis Din Shel Mala, I'm going to say, look, I have a very good friend here. His name is the Chazon Ish. Look, he wrote me a letter and he calls me his friend. Please call him over. He's going to take care of me. I have the Chazon Ish as a friend. So they said, okay, we're here. So how come you decided you don't need it anymore? He says, what do you mean, how? How come? Because today I daven shachis. He says, Dad, you go to daven shachis every day. What's today different than yesterday? He says, yeah, but today I actually looked at what I was saying. Just before Shmoneh Esrei, we say every single day, V'yedidim he'evarta. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you took your friends and you allowed them to cross the sea. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is calling me his friend. In Mishlei Chaf Zayin, the passage says, Re'acha ve're'a avicha al ta'azoiv. Your friend and your father's friend, don't leave. Rashi explains, who is your friend? HaKadosh Baruch Hu shenikra Re'a le'Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called our friend. So after I saw this morning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Yedidim, you are my friends. I figured, the Chazon Ish is a great friend to have, but I have a better and stronger friend up there. Ribono shel olam. Why do I need the Chazon Ish? I have a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And when you walk around with a feeling, Kadosh Baruch Hu is my friend. Yes, he's a king. Yes, he's a father. But it's also Re'acha. He is your friend. How can you not be happy? Imagine you have connections. And you can somehow get to see the mayor. Not talking about the president, the mayor. You're going to be kind of happy. And if you establish a nice, strong relationship with the mayor, with the governor, how much more so the president, you are so happy. But here we have a friend who is not a mayor, not a basar vadam, after 4 years leaves the office. Ribono shel olam melech malchei amlochim, and he calls us our friends. And there's no intermediary. There's no broker between us to use those connections. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. How can we not be happy? But every so often, Chalila, there are challenges. There's a pasuk in Tehillim. Perek Ayin Zayin, pasuk Yutes. Kol ra'amcha bagalgal. What does that mean? The sound of your thunder is in the wheel. Literally translated. Kol ra'amcha bagalgal. Comes the Ben Ish Chai. It's a moeredik interpretation. Says the Ben Ish Chai. Sometimes you hear a thunder. Chas v'sholom. A little kid dies. A young man has cancer. The list goes on. You know it very well. Just have to read the news. I'm not advocating to read the news, but I'm saying if one happened to listen to every single day is something else. Says the Ben Ish Chai, if you hear the thunder, kol ra'amcha, and you don't understand why is it? The language of the Ben Ish Chai, tlehu besibas hagalgal. You have to understand, it also has to do with gilgulim, with previous rounds. We are coming into the movie after it started thousands of years ago, 5,782 years, 11 months and a half. And we think we have to understand everything now. You just came into the scene. If you don't understand certain nisyonis, says the Ben Ish Chai, you can hang them. Telehu besibas hagalgal. It may have to do with previous gilgulim. And that removes a lot of the challenges that we have. You know, the Gaon Mivilna, a few days before his daughter was supposed to get married, she died. And a week later, the Gaon Mivilna's mother came to him in a dream and she said to him, if you knew your reward for accepting din shomayim be'ahava, because you accepted the strict judgment with love, you would have danced in her funeral more so than you would have danced in her chuppah. Only one wow for that? That's a moiradik, a double, triple wow. It's a pasuk we all know. We say in Hallel Kuf Yud Ches, pasuk in Tehillim. Min ha-meitzar karasi ka. It's very narrow. Min ha-meitzar, and I can't pass, so I call HaKadosh Baruch Hu karasi ka. And then, what does he do? Anani b'merchav ka. He allows me to pass. He makes it wide. I remember I once drove from Yerushalayim back to, I live in Bet Shemesh, and suddenly this idea fell into my head. And I started playing with those letters, and I said, wow, this is too good. Wait a second. On the highway, I just parked on the side, and I had to write it down to see if it really works. It works. Min ha-meitzar. Ha-meitzar is trouble, suffering, challenges, difficulties, all those uncomfortable things that we want to avoid in life. Min ha-meitzar, karasika, I call to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Isn't there a superfluous letter here? Min ha-meitzar, we can do it shorter. How would we do it shorter? Me ha-meitzar. What do you have to write? Min ha-meitzar. What'd you gain? I think min ha-meitzar indicates the toch, the pnimius, the kishkis, the inside of the meitzar. So let's look into the meitzar. What's inside that meitzar? Ha-meitzar is spelled in Tehillim Hey, Mem, Tzadi, Reish. In Hebrew, every letter has a revealed part and a concealed one. For example, Aleph. We see the Aleph part, but it has a Lamed and a Fei inside. Aleph is spelled Aleph, Lamed, Fei. So let's look what's inside ha-meitzar. Hey is spelled Hey, Hey. So we have the outside part, the revealed part is a Hey, and the concealed part is another Hey. Let's put that Hey aside. Mem is spelled Mem, Mem. So we have another Mem inside. That's the concealed. Let's put it together with the Hey from before. Tzadi is spelled Tzadi, Daled, Yud. So we have the Tzadi is the revealed part. We have the Daled in Yud, and we throw it together with the Hey and the Mem. Reish is spelled Reish, Shin, so we have a Shin. Let's put it along with those hidden letters. You know what the inside of the meitzar spells? The words Yad Hashem. So if you realize in the tzara that it's Yad Hashem, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, and you call unto him in a meitzar karasi ka'a, Anani b'merchav kas, HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows you to pass. He makes it real wide, and you're able to pass, but to know that it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rav Vosner Zecher Tzadik Livrocha once said over that he remembers that he was in the yeshiva of Lublin with Reb Meir Shapira, the founder of the Daf Yomi, and they once went together to visit one of the Bachrim who was very, very sick. He was bedridden. He couldn't do anything. And they were sure that they were going to come in, they have to get him a lot of chizuk, and he's probably going to be very sad, and who knows, so they got ready, what are they going to say to him? They go inside, and the guy is so cheerful. He's really happy. He's not faking it. He's smiling and he's happy. And Reb Meir Shapira says to him, tell me, I must ask you, how can you be so happy? Why are you so happy? And this guy says something that we must carve on our hearts. He says to Reb Meir Shapira, I found myself in bed and I can't move. It's already months. And I started thinking, what is my avoida? Everybody has an avoida in this world. What is my avoida? What does the Kadosh Baruch Hu want from me? And I remember there's a Gemara in Shabbos Yud Beis Amud Beis. Shchina merashoisav shel choile. The Shchina is found by a person's bed, by the sick person's bed. So I figured I know what my avoida is. My avoida is to bring the Shechina down. For whatever reason, HaKadosh Baruch Hu selected me that I should bring the Shechina down to this world. But then I remembered another Gemara, which we mentioned before, Shabbos Daf Lamed Amud Beis. The Shechina cannot reside, not if you're sad, not if you are using or involved in Kalus Das, only if you're involved in Simcha Shel Mitzvah. So I figured I must be besimcha to do my avoida. My avoida is to bring the Shechina down, to make sure that it stays here. And Reb Meir Shapira said that was so powerful, and we must say it over to future generations. Pilei ploim. So what are the Simcha switch, that we need to press in order to make it happen? I think there are 3 switches that we can press in order to become happy. The first one, Chazal say, Ezehu Sameach, Ezehu Ashir, Hasameach Bechelkoi. What does that mean? To be happy with your lot. What does that mean? Sameach Bechelkoi. It may have a few interpretations. First of all, chas v'sholom, to be like Nebuchadnezzar or Haman. No matter what you have, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you, that means that's exactly what you need for your avodas Hashem, which is different than somebody else's avodas Hashem. And if you would need something else, you would have it. So why would we ever be envious of anyone else? You have exactly what you need. You're allowed to ask for more if you want to, but if HaKadosh Baruch Hu says no, that means you don't need it. That's probably the deepest meaning of a sameach bechelkoi, because my chelek is exactly what I'm ever going to need. Otherwise I would have a different chelek. Could be that a sameach bechelkoi is chelek eloika mimal. We all have it. It's called a neshama. We actually all have a spark from the heavenly throne. That's my chelek. Chelkoi, my chelek that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me of His. How can you not be happy? Chelko v'nachalosoi. There's about 9 billion people on this planet, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu made me His chelek. He made me a part of His elite team. How can I not be happy? Chelkoi. Maybe alludes to what the Gemara says in Avodah Zorah Yutes Amud Aleph. In Adam Lamed Ela B'makom Sheli Boi Chafetz. Each one of us has his chelek in Torah. Sameach Bechelkoi means be happy with that part in Torah that you have. Focus on that, and that's going to give you tremendous simcha. Switch number 2. Tough question. How many mitzvahs do we have in the Torah? Be careful before you answer. 613. Did you count them? Brave individual. Did you count them? Who told you the 630 mitzvahs? Who told you? Moinei mitzvahs seem to be saying that. The Smag and the Smak, the Yereim, Sefer HaChinuch, the Rambam, they all count 613. I'm sorry? Tzitzis? Tzitzis alludes to 613. That's true. But they all stop at 613. The Gemara in Makos Daf Chav Gimel, the Gemara says Torah is numerical value 611, and 2 more we heard from Moshe, 613. Great. The Stipler Zatzal, Reb Chaim Kanievsky's father said, Rabbi Isai, we do not have 613 mitzvahs anymore. We used to have Taryag mitzvahs. Unfortunately, today we do not have Taryag mitzvahs. You know what we have today? Taryag problems. The Stipler Zatzal. We have Taryag obstacles, restrictions. And we somehow want to get through the day avoiding the obstacles, somehow getting over those humps on the road to be able to do what we really want to do. To be able to go where we really want to go. Chas v'sholom, we should view the mitzvahs as problems. The mitzvahs should be viewed as opportunities. We have 613 opportunities from the Torah, and we have thousands derabonon. Each opportunity, we said before, is an actual diamond. And if the diamond is really, really big, that means it's really, really more valuable than a regular diamond. So the switch for Simcha is, if you realize every mitzvah along the way is another chance to become a millionaire, another diamond in the pocket, how will you not be happy? The Gemara in Kiddushin Daf Lametes. The Gemara says, Schar mitzvah behai alma leka. You don't get reward for the mitzvahs you perform in this world. In the next one, you'll get plenty of reward. But says Rabbeinu Achido, that's true for the actual mitzvah, but for the simcha you display when doing the mitzvah, you get rewarded in this world. So it's a worthwhile investment. And switch, a third switch, the button that we have to press. You know, Gedolei Yisrael, and Baruch Hashem, I'm frequent to their homes, are always happy. What is that? What is there in their homes? For example, talk about Rabbi Reb Chaim Zatzal. There was nothing in that house. There was Sfarim. There was some Sfarim. There was also some Sfarim. But otherwise, there was nothing. There was also some Sfarim. But there was nothing else. He didn't even have a phone. He never spoke on the phone. 94 years. Not even somebody else's phone. Stoire, toire, 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 toire. Gedolei Yisrael are always happy. And seemingly it doesn't make sense. Did you ever lose your cell phone? Chas v'sholom. Your car keys? Minhago shel olam. When a person loses something, he looks bothered. He's not happy. You're driving somewhere. And chas v'sholom, your Waze doesn't work. And you open the windows. Where is it? Where is it? I'm late for my meeting. When one is searching, he is not happy. There is only one type of search that if you're engaged in that activity, you're happy. And that's a pasuk we say every single day. Tehillim perek kuf hey pasuk beis. Pasuk gimel. Yismach leiv mevakshei Hashem. If you mevakesh Hashem, your heart is going to be so glad. And that's why Gedolei Yisrael, they're always in search. They don't understand the sugya. They don't understand the sugya, but they're looking for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They don't need the big, expensive furniture, the big homes, the cars. They need kirvas Elokim, and when you seek for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's going to provide Simcha. Yismach Leiv. Who's going to be happy? Mevakshei Hashem. If we are true seekers of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we will be happy. As I said before, I was talking to myself. You happening to be listening to a private conversation. You decided to. I didn't ask you. Hashem, we should in fact be able to press on all those 3 different buttons. To be true mevakshei Hashem. And then we will have everlasting simcha.
Shem Irgen Shir Torah Moses Boston like to give a big shekar to our Pessin for the very inspiring drasha. Rabbi Aharon take the opportunity and sponsor a shir b'simcha v'tuv levov. Put an ad in the dinner journal. Irgen Shir Torah's annual dinner next Wednesday, August 24th, and v'chelik and abotzes Torah the Rabbim of Irgen Shir Torah throughout the year worldwide. Call Irgen Shir Torah at 718-851-8651 or email ist@yeshivanet.com. Irgen Shir Torah would like to we dedicated tonight's shir to the Nishmas, an old friend and supporter, Rav Moshe Katlowitz, Zechron Levacha, Lila Nishmas, Rav Moshe Yosef, and Rav Kalman, Zechron Levacha, to Nishmos Tzrura B'tzara Chaim. Yashikar to everyone for coming, Rav Chananya ben Akashem, Rotzak HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Zakes, as Yisrael Lefikir Hibbel and Torah Mitzvahs. Shenemar L'nei Chofes Aman Tzidka Yagdul Torah V'Yader.